Hello, have a good day everyone. Welcome to our lesson in Computer System Servicing for Grade 12, entitled Understanding IP Address. Under Learning Outcome 2, Name Configure Network Services. This module is for second quarter, week 2, day 1. Learning objectives. At the end of the learning period, the student should be able to A. Understand IP address, B. Identify two types of IP address, and C. Differentiate the difference between static and dynamic IP address. Before we proceed to our lesson, let's answer the pretest. Directions. Read each statement below. Identify if the following statement is static or dynamic IP address. Number 1. Assigned to a specific device and remains constant over time. The answer is static. Number 2. Automatic configuration. The answer is dynamic. Number 3. Easy file transfers. The answer is static. Number 4. Limited remote access. The answer is dynamic. Number 5. Potential security weaknesses. The answer is static. Number 6. Less accurate geolocation. The answer is dynamic. Number 7. More downtime. The answer is dynamic. Number 8. Complex setup. The answer is static. Number 9. Assigned by the network and have changes periodically. The answer is dynamic. Number 10. Simplify the process of hosting your own web, email, or FTP server. The answer is static. Now, let us have a recap of our previous lesson relevant to our topic. Directions. Draw a simple diagram of a peer-to-peer and client-server network and discuss each. You may answer this on your digital worksheet. Let's proceed to our lesson. Introduction to IP address. IP addresses is a series of numbers that allow devices to communicate with each other. Every device connected to a network is given a unique number called an Internet Protocol IP address. This identifies devices on the Internet and allows them to communicate. The most common type of IP address consists of 4 series of numbers broken up by periods. Example: 192.168.100.1. There are 2 types of IP address: the static IP address and dynamic IP address. A static IP address is assigned to a specific device and remains constant over time, while dynamic IP address is assigned by the network when you connect and changes periodically. There are advantages and disadvantages of the two. The advantages of static IP address are the following. Simple server hosting. simplify the process of hosting your own web email or file transfer protocol server. Convenient remote access. It allows employees to work remotely because your VPN or virtual private network or other remote access option remembers and trusts your IP address. Next, reliable communication. Communicate hassle-free over voice over Internet Protocol and other digital voice services. And easy file transfers. Send and receive data quickly with faster upload and download speeds. Disadvantage of IP address or static IP. Potential security weaknesses. Put additional security measures like firewall in place because a constant IP address could give hackers time to attack your network. Next is the cost. Be prepared to pay extra for a static IP. They aren't included in most internet plans. The other one is complex setup. You look for an internet service provider that offers the support needed to manually configure devices with static IP. Dynamic IP advantages. Number 1 is automatic configuration. It is spend less time and money on maintenance because most devices are configured to grab an available IP address automatically. The other one is no additional fees. You save money by choosing dynamic IPs, which don't cost you anything on top of your internet plan. And unlimited devices. Use several devices without needing to disconnect and free up IP addresses or manually configure each new device in the office. Dynamic IP disadvantage. The first one is more downtime. You understand you could get kicked off your connection, a critical part of hosting servers or websites, and VoIP IP services. The other one is less accurate geolocation. Determine whether or not geolocation is important to your business, as it could be less accurate. And the other one is limited remote access. Have your employees spend more time in the office, as remote access can be challenging and less secure. What is Internet Protocol 4 or IPv4 and Internet Protocol 6 or IPv6? IPv4 address is a 32-bit number that uniquely identifies a network interface on a machine. It is typically written in decimal digits, formatted as 4 8-bit fields that are separated by periods. Each 8-bit field represents a byte of the IPv4 address. What is IPv6? It is a 128-bit IP address. IPv4 is a numeric addressing method, whereas IPv6 is an alphanumeric addressing method. Note: IPv4 offers 12 header fields, whereas IPv6 offers 8 header fields. IPv4 supports broadcast, whereas IPv6 doesn't support broadcast. What is TCP Ip? It is a set of protocol developed to allow cooperating computers to share resources across a network. TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol. IP stands for Internet Protocol. The most well-known network that adopted TCP IP is Internet, the biggest one in the world. TCP defines 5 classes of IP addresses. The class A, B, C, D, and E. Each class has a range of valid IP addresses. The value of the first octet determines the class. IP addresses from the first 3 classes, A, B, and C, can be used for host addresses. Class E address. This IP class is reserved for experimental purposes only or study. IP addresses in this class ranges from 240.0.0.0 to 255.255.255.254. IP addresses, classes, and range. Class A has a leading bits of 1 to 126. Network bits is 8, remaining bits is 24, number of networks is 128, hosts per network is around 16,777,214. Default subnet mask 255.0.0.0. Class B is 128 to 191 leading bits, network 16, remaining bits 16, number of network 16,384, hosts per network is 65,534, and the default subnet mask is 255.255.0.0. Class C. Leading bits 192 to 223. Network bits is 24. Remaining bits 8. Number of networks 2,097,152. Host per network is 254 and default subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. Class D is a multicast class. Leading bits is 224 to 239. Network bits not defined. Remaining bits not defined, including number of network, host per network, and default subnet. Class E is for reserved. Leading bits is from 240 to 254, and the network bits not defined, remaining bits, number of network, host per network, and default subnets mask is not defined. There are 4 classes of IP. Class A, B, C, and D, and the others range. To Class A, 1.0.0.1 to 126.255.255.254. Class B is 128.1.0.1 to 191.255.255.254. Class C is 192.0.1.1 to 223.255.254.254. Class D is 224.0.0.0 to 239.255.255.255. The IP address is usually combined with a subnet mask. We have an example here, 192.168.1.165, and the subnet mask of that IP address is 255.255.255.0. The subnet mask is not usually transmitted across the network. It is the subnet mask that helps turn the IP address into something more than a simple identifier. The subnet mask determines what part of the IP address is the network and which part is the host. Example of IPv4 address. We have 192.168.1.131, the Internet Protocol version 4. The OSI layer 3 address. It has a 34-bit addresses, and the maximum decimal value for each byte is 255. IPv6 addresses. It is an update of IPv4. It has 128-bit addresses. IPv6 has approximately 340 undecillion addresses. Writing out the entire IPv6 address is not easy because of its length, but there are ways on how to abbreviate and compress this address down to smaller size that will make easier for us to manage. IPv compression. Ways to abbreviate and compress IPv6 address down to smaller size. You remove all the leading zeros and abbreviate groups of zeros with double colons, as what you have seen on your screen. Let's proceed to activities. Directions. Abbreviate and compress IPv6 address down to smaller size. So as what you can see on your screen, we have an example here. 2600:DDD 111:000:000:000:000 and 0001. We abbreviate it to 2600:DDD:1111:1:1. You may practice this on your own later. Give the IP class of the following IP address. Number 1, 17.22.90.7. The answer is Class A. Number 2, 220.10.77.40. The answer is Class C. Number 3, 165.254.0.1. The answer is Class B. Number 4, 128.90.10.2. The answer is Class B. Number 5, 191.77.24.250. The answer is Class B. Wrap up. Every device needs a unique IP address. It is a series of numbers that allows devices to communicate with each other. Every device connected to a network is given a unique number called an Internet Protocol IP address. This identifies devices on the Internet and allows them to communicate. The most common type of IP address consists of 4 series of numbers broken up by periods. Valuing. What is the importance of IP address in networking? Why you should give an IP address to device connected on a network? Explain in at least 5 sentences. You may answer this on your digital worksheet. Pause test. Multiple choice. Directions. Choose the letter of the correct answer. Number 1. It is a series of numbers that allows devices to communicate with each other. The answer is A. Number 2. It is an IP address that is assigned by the network and changed periodically. The answer is B. Dynamic. Number 3. It is a set of protocol developed to allow cooperating computers to share resources across a network. The answer is B. TCP IP. Number 4. It is a 32-bit number that uniquely identifies a number interface on a machine. The answer is C. IPv4 address. Number 5. It is a 128-bit address. It is an alphanumeric addressing method. The answer is A. IPv6 address. If you got all the correct answer, good job. If not, just continue learning. Thank you and see you again on the next lesson. Bye.